Hey, Kim, how's it going? It's great to see you again.
Hey, Surj, always happy to talk with you.
Thanks for coming to our fireside chat here next to this sort of virtual fire that we have together.
Yeah, I can feel the heat.
I'm looking forward to a fall sort of fire pit this weekend myself. For those of you joining us from afar, I'm Surj. I'm managing director of a pretty kick-ass digital marketing agency called ROI DNA. Kim, you want to tell us a bit about you?
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm Kim Johnston. I'm the Vice President of Revenue Marketing at Flexential, a leading data center company for the US.
Thank you. Flexential is one of our favorite clients probably of all time, and part of that is because you are so wonderful to work with.
Thank
Um,
you.
we're here today to talk about sort of relentless change of
Mm,
sort of madness and stuff in marketing.
yeah,
There is all the AI stuff that we keep talking about, we as in marketers across LinkedIn every moment of every day. Um,
right.
there's loss of signal, changes in the types of signal. It seems to be more difficult to get like good data a lot of the times these days.
Yeah,
There are a whole bunch of new platforms as always. We've got evolving buyer behaviors, especially, which loops back to the AI thing.
right.
We thought it'd be cool for you and I to talk about sort of what's happening, where do we go from here, and all that.
Sounds great.
Yeah. What are the biggest changes you're seeing?
You know, what's funny is certainly AI is a big shift. But what I find interesting about it is that it's a big shift internal to marketing, right? Because there's new
Yeah.
tools to use, new ways to be productive, new ways to execute. I dig it. On the same side of the house or the other side of the house, clients or prospects are using AI too, right?
Yeah.
To get educated or maybe their corporate email systems are using spam, AI spam blockers, et cetera, et cetera. So AI is really an interesting disruptor in terms of what marketing can do as an
Yeah.
engine, but also shifting the way that you got to move through the noise or penetrate through the buying cycle inside of a buyer's mind, right? Secondly, I think the market is just a little kooky right now, right? There's a lot of pressures on agencies and vendors and prospects and customers alike. Everybody's feeling those trends or those pressures a little bit differently. And I think that's compounding this introduction of AI into the buying cycle, let alone the marketing efforts.
Yeah, for sure. You're talking about sort of email, AI handling of email makes me think back to the olden days of email marketing when things would change around filtering and stuff like this too. In some
Yeah,
ways, much like we're seeing in sort of SEO versus not versus, but SEO and AI at the same time and the
that's
discussions
right.
around that, it feels like a lot of things from the past coming back again, as they do. These are cycles that keep repeating, right?
Right. What's old is new again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of stuff with there's been a lot of discussion kind of in the marketing world about like, well, budgets are getting smaller and budgets are getting smaller. And that's true. I don't know if it's quite as universal as we've talked about it in general. Some companies are really investing in media spend and
Right.
projects and platforms and stuff like this, while others are doing less of that. We're heavy on B2B as an agency, of course.
Right.
And sometimes what we see is that we're being asked to do more with less budget because we're more precise with our targeting and stuff like this. And
Right.
well, this is going to get me into trouble to say this, but sometimes we actually need a little bit less money because we've gotten really precise with the targeting to reach
Well,
the
for
same
sure.
size of
When
people.
when you
You know?
talk about some of these AI-led tools, right? AI advertising tools, the Sixth Sense platform, the chosen platform we've used,
Yep.
that's the one that has allowed us to extend our media spend and
Yeah.
still increase the audience size pretty dramatically, about 5 times.
Yeah.
And we can deliver about 3 times more the messaging, and we've reduced the media spend, which has allowed us to then take the same flat spend, but take that savings and start a new segment,
Yeah.
right? In a
Yep.
different kind of target market or different message or different product line, something like that.
Yeah.
So you're not wrong. I think that AI and a lot of the tools that we have are creating that productivity and that efficiency. The question is, what do you do with it?
Absolutely. I mean, so much of the pressure on teams in terms of budgets and people and all this kind of stuff is really like, what do you do with this? And now there's a lot of There are a lot of influencers on LinkedIn telling us what we should be doing with AI and all this kind of stuff. And there are some folks that now believe that like an intern with a chat GPT account could run an entire marketing program. And you don't need people like you and me and our teams anymore, which is of course hilarious and not true. But the reality is that we can be a lot more efficient with the tools that we have. And there's kind of some amazing stuff happening. And when I think about like things that are changing in marketing and digital marketing in particular, a lot of it is around that like kind of giving ourselves more arms with tools. We
Yeah.
used to accomplish that with people, and now we're able to like I could have 8 arms via AI platforms and automation
Yeah.
platforms and stuff like this, and accomplish a whole lot.
Yeah.
What do you think?
But it doesn't take the place of judgment.
100%.
Right. And I think that that's um, what I'm seeing in terms of AI usage internal to marketing is that for those things that maybe we just didn't have time to do, like that one extra derivative piece of that asset, that piece of content that we wanted. But now you can use tools, AI tools that give you that
Yeah.
derivative asset quicker,
Yeah.
right? So now you can execute your program in, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say half as fast. I don't want to set any expectations out there, but it's certainly faster than it was. Yeah.
Sure.
We can agree to that. The thing is that how do you interpret the data coming in?
Yeah. I think.
Right? Yeah,
Yep.
you got to interpret like what's really happening. You have to understand, okay, well, is the data or these early indicators, are they telling you to put the gas on, or are they really take the gas off? Because you might say, oh, I've got my impressions are up. Well, super. But do you
Yeah.
have the right people coming to the site?
Yeah.
Do you have the right visitation? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, but you might have the right visitation. Got it. Super. Visitors are up, impressions are up, visitations are up. Okay, great. But are they actioning the way you want them to?
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Are they right? And
Yeah.
when they do enter your pipeline, are they continuing on in their journey of decision making? So are you convincing them that you're actually the company that can deliver on the value and can make those promises, and that we have the proof that demonstrates that we've done this for others? It's that judgment, I think, in the interpretation of the sound waves coming back in from marketing is where, from a marketing skill set, is
Yeah.
becoming even more important, because the AI is helping to extend the dollar in one and increase productivity. So now marketing needs to mature its interpretation of the waves coming back in, the sound waves coming back in.
I think a lot of the things you're saying, Kim, which are very astute, a lot of them come back to the notion of having like a human brain,
Yeah,
a well-developed human brain at the
yeah,
middle of all these tools, right? And
right.
I'm using that sort of human brain as a single symbol for maybe a really smart team or something like this.
Yeah,
You've
yeah,
talked about some things that make me think about data literacy, for example,
right.
strategic excellence and things like this. And I'll say that when we think about developing on our team for us to be the agency of the future, both like, next Tuesday when we come back from the long weekend and, next year and beyond, we're thinking a lot about developing those strategic chops and that
Hmm.
like turbocharging the critical thinking and stuff like this, so that
Right.
everything we do with these incredible tools to be faster and more powerful is grounded in like really excellent thinking and strategy and stuff
That's
like
right.
that.
What I loved, just to give you an example of that. So here, the things that aren't changing, right? There are
Yeah.
things that are absolutely not changing is maniacal focus on understanding your target customer, who they are, what they care about, how they're going to make their decision, showing up where they show up, right? That kind of thing. Um, I remember a few years back during the COVID crisis that we were doing advertising, and someone said, "Well, you're doing display on CNN, aren't you?" And I'm like, well, I'm being led, I'm retargeting. So I'm showing up where they show up, where the IT leader shows up. And they said, well, where's that? And I said, well, let me look at the analytics. And it was like a very, very high traffic tutorial site for kids. And I'm like, I think there's a lot of homeschooling going on right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So, right. So
Yeah.
instead of it showing up in CNN or CIO Today or something like that, it was on these other sites, because that's where the target customer was going.
Yeah.
right? That's who they were.
Yeah.
So we had to follow them. So that maniacal focus and understanding the customer, that hasn't changed.
I think
Um,
every time you and I talk, I come away with a phrase that I'm going to steal. And today's phrase is maniacal focus. I love that.
yeah,
You know,
get
uh,
crazed,
it's really
right?
great.
And
I,
go ahead, you first.
well, you're talking about things that, shouldn't change and stuff like this. And to go back to this kind of human strategy and all this, you're also talking about sort of a thoughtful understanding of the data. There would be, I think a lot of folks would look at like, this is a child's website where the ads are showing up and go, that's not the right place for this to be. But
Yeah,
because you're in your prospect's mind, your
right,
potential customer's mind, you understand that they're homeschooling or whatever. And you see that that makes sense from at least like a persona perspective. Is like if
right,
we're retargeting, we're going to be showing them ads in weird places. Now,
yeah, sometime,
is that the right time? Maybe, maybe not.
right,
But this is how the
right.
world is working today, and this is what we're working with. When I
That's
think about
exactly
things
it.
that don't change, I think a lot about the human connection thing that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
Um, I think when you and I were talking before we got real live on camera, um, we think real deeply, kind of as you are, of like, who are the folks we're trying to reach and who are
that's
they
right.
really? What are they, worried about? What do they care about? How do they behave? And the COVID times is a really good example. If we're going to build programs that try
Yeah,
to understand who someone is, and then from that, figure out where to reach them and when and how, one of the things that's really important that I think sometimes gets lost is that what they care about and therefore where they're going to be and how they're going to behave and all this changes all the time.
all the time.
From 2019 to 2020, the sites that people would be seeing the retargeting ads on would change radically, right?
Radically,
And there are
right?
other like, socioeconomic factors that are going to change, what people are
Exactly.
caring about and potentially like slow down deals, accelerate deals. You had a
That's
really
right.
great example of that one, I think, to share.
Yeah, so this is a good one. So, this is a marketing source deal that came in about 18 months ago, and came through paid search. Thank you very much. And so that's a demonstration of our partnership. So it came in,
We're there for you.
and yeah, there you go. Appreciate you. And so this client prospect we could watch because we do these things called touch point reports.
Yeah.
They can also be called EKG slides because it's like, oh, they did a bunch of this, then they came here, they went there. So, but we watch to see how they play themselves out. Like, what are they doing? And there was a tremendous amount of consumption, what I call marketing consumption. They're coming to the
Hmm.
website, they're downloading materials, they're watching an on-demand webinar, et cetera. They're getting nurtured, all those kinds of things. And they went along, pop, we got ourselves an opportunity. Sales is doing their thing. And then there was threat of tariffs. Things started to change. This is happening in the marketplace. This is going to have an
Radical
economic.
changes, right?
That's right. Some pretty radical changes. This happened to be a manufacturer. So it was important to them. And all of a sudden there was a little bit of hesitation, like a big deep breath, if you will, on the client side. And the sales guys are like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure what's going to happen here. They're taking a deep breath. And there was, some deflation, if you will, within the sales organization. But we kept watch and we kept feeding, right? We kept
Yep.
feeding them reasons to buy, reasons why now is a good time.
Yeah.
It's still a good time, et cetera, et cetera. That kind of thing. Came back and the client said, yep, let's go. But that was an 18-month journey.
Yeah.
And the emotional roller coaster, with sales and marketing as we continue to feed them. But it was really interesting because their consumption maintained, because their interest in their decision making was still active, but they were delayed because of some of these other market pressures that are happening right now. So we had to also shift our messaging
Yeah.
to accommodate that. And you can see that it's multi-funnel. It was SEO, it was display, it was web, it was webinars, it was nurture, it was good content, right? It's these
Yeah.
things that continued to feed them in their decision journey.
And you're talking about the sort of changes you made along the way and like the
Yeah,
COVID times and of course the stuff that's going on in terms of tariffs and other
yeah,
market factors right now. These are all really good examples of times where we need to either evolve or sometimes change quickly. Like, what else do you think needs to change in marketing as we go into these, like, we've got AI, we've got economic factors. Like, what do you think is up for some updates?
Yeah. I was just coming out of a couple of weeks ago out of a discussion with the SEO team from ROI, and we were talking about the impact of AI search. Yeah, the
Yeah.
AI search overview, and we're feeling it, we're seeing it. But we were looking at our results, talking about the interpretation of results. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see these results come in, the impressions are off the charts, but visitation is starting to go down, but click through, but like conversion on the site is good. And you're like, what happened to the middle? What happened to the visitation thing, right? It's like
Yeah.
impressions are up. We're getting high intent, high valuable visitation or click through or
Yeah.
conversion on the site. So the site is still operational and being the machine we need it to be. The
Yeah.
impressions, the content we're sending out is rocking great. What's happening in the gooey middle, that important part where it drives visitation? And we're like, oh, okay, it's going bananas now, right? This AI search module overview is really starting to now impact. But because we had such a foundation that we've been building for 2 years,
Yeah.
I think you told us that compared to maybe some others, what you've seen in the industry is we're holding our own.
Yeah.
And based upon some stats I've seen recently published on this topic, we're definitely holding our own. So I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
But here was the conversation. It was, yeah, but, that's my favorite. The yeah buts. Yeah, but like life continues. I still have pipeline that I need to build that I'm held accountable to. I'm still held accountable to bookings numbers, et cetera. So what are we going to do instead? And it was really interesting because the dialogue was, okay, we're going to have to shift our content strategy. Got it. We're
Yeah.
prepared for that. But we're also going to have to augment some of our other channels.
Yeah.
And we got to even turn up the volume on some other channels, like YouTube, as an example.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. We might have to rethink the way we even do webinars or content syndication a little bit
Yeah.
differently, right? So now the marketing mix. Okay, so going back to the human judgment, right? Now, what's the marketing mix that might need to be, not even might, is going to have to change because of these external factors or the introduction of AI on the client side, right?
Yeah.
In terms of how they're behaving. So
Yeah.
that's to me, that's really exciting. And I really appreciate the thought partnership with you and the team on looking at this because I think we're all figuring it out together because it's happening so fast,
Yeah.
right? And you have to be really poised for the adjustment.
When we've recently been looking at some really fascinating stuff around like impressions versus traffic from organic, and all of that over the last couple of
Right?
months, I've been fascinated by that, working with Annalise and
Yeah,
Rebecca on our team and all of you. You're touching
totally.
on something. You started an area that is really near and dear to my heart, in part because I'm a search guy from 25 years ago or something like this, but also because I just think it's so interesting. And we used to talk about holistic search as, the sort of merging of data and
Yeah,
strategy and organic and paid. And now I
right.
think there are three pillars to that. And the other one is AI, whether it's answers that are being shown in an LLM, in another platform, or Google's AI
Uh-huh.
overviews or AI mode or
Yeah,
something like that. In
yeah,
reality, we have people seeking information in all these different ways, and we have
that's
all
right.
these different ways to reach them. And one of the things that I think is kind of a fascinating evolution right now that some folks are getting, I think, and some folks are not, which is that the evolution is almost like what you said earlier, everything old is new again. There's a return to what feels to me like almost like classical marketing required here,
Yeah,
because we as digital marketers, I watched this evolution over the last couple decades or so of like marketers from the olden days, so to speak, were sort of disregarded by like these new school digital marketers like myself, who were like, if I don't have a click attached to that thing, I don't care about it. And
yeah,
over the years, and then especially when money got tight over the last few years, again, we saw constricting budgets down to like low funnel stuff, which doesn't work long term.
right.
And in that context, things like visibility in chat GPT, et cetera, or AI overviews or whatever, we've been freaking out about the lack of click there. But in reality, what we're really talking about is like a brand impression, right?
Right.
And so we're
Exactly.
sort of evolving back to like real marketing again.
That's exactly it. So that was the aha for me, was that SEO and paid search were becoming very, very, let's say, meaningful for us in terms of demand capture.
Yeah.
Okay, so very, very meaningful for us in demand capture, and all of a sudden, and I was like, this is great. This is exactly what we want. This thing happens, and now SEO is the role of SEO, right? Because all these vehicles have their own role in the buying
Yeah.
cycle, right?
Yeah.
But now the role of SEO is starting to shift. It's not just a capture anymore, and it's starting to push back up to a brand or an education, awareness or an educational phase
Yeah.
of the buying cycle, of the decision cycle. It's like, okay, so now you got to start switching. Okay, so let's call old school marketing. Okay, if that's what we're going to call it. But now it's okay, if there are more vehicles in the brand space.
Yeah.
How do you translate that brand activity into an actual pipeline?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, okay, what's old is new again. The advertisements in a magazine, right? Or, that kind of thing where there was no click,
Yep.
right? Well, guess what? Now we have the digital version of that
Yeah.
with an AI overview. Now you're getting educated. So digitally, no click. Okay, now what?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you got to start thinking about the other channels to become that demand capture.
Yeah.
So that's again, I think, one of those things where judgment's going to be a big deal.
Yeah. Where else do you think we go from here in terms of like figuring this out as marketers? I mean, it's changing every day, right? Like we said at the very beginning here, it's the pace of evolution is pretty
Yeah.
insane. What do we do?
Keep breathing. Square breathing helps a lot.
There is
Um,
something to the steadiness of like
yeah,
continuing with your strategy and evolving and figuring
that's
it
right.
out and not just like freaking out
That's
because, oh my
exactly right.
God, zero click. Oh my God, zero click. Right.
That's exactly it. I would tell you that it's even more important to stay curious right now.
Hmm.
I mean, the best marketers I've ever had the privilege of working with are deeply curious, and their curiosity never ends, ever. It's
Yeah.
like they get the win and they're like, "Why? Why did I win?" And we're like, "Well, of course you won because it was a fantastic product and it was a great message." Yeah, but why? Why did I win compared to somebody else, right? So it's this like just real dedication to curiosity. I think that's going to be a big deal. I think that curiosity lends itself to getting inside the mind of your target, the curiosity of how to use these tools, the curiosity of the marketing mix, the
Yeah.
curiosity or the bravery. Maybe it's bravery to do the A/B testing. And I'm not talking like the traditional A/B testing that's in, ad copy or ad creative, but more the A/B testing that said, I'm going to try this mix
Yeah.
of marketing.
Yeah.
Did it do what I wanted? Now, the interesting thing about it is I think we have more optics, and this would be maybe my third category. So curiosity, bravery, but I go back to data interpretation.
Yeah.
So I think that's really where it's going to where the rubber's going to meet the road, because these behaviors and things are so different, that as long as we keep watch on early indicators, not just outcomes are important,
Yeah.
right? Outcomes pay the bill.
Yep.
Outcomes keep the lights on. I dig it. That's important. And that's the point. But the early indicators can give you the sense of where things are going off the rails or where things are actually improving. Early indicators, impressions, visitors, conversions.
Yeah.
If you are using a tool that gives you a view into buying cycle, are they moving through their decision cycle? Can you see that there's movement?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you can see and watch those things, then I think data interpretation or insight is going to be even more important than it's ever been.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean, in addition to that curiosity and that sort of data interpretation that you're talking about, this speaks to something that I think we saw take a bit of a hit during the sort of early COVID years, and I think is still yet to recover. curiosity and sort of confidence in making calls early on rather than waiting like for truly definitive data. We're being asked, marketers are being asked to move really, really quickly, often with fewer resources and stuff like this. And we're getting some pretty big wins in these tools and stuff like this. But we got to be confident and comfortable with the data. We have to be comfortable and confident and comfortable enough with the data. It's time for another cup of coffee to make decisions early enough to like have an impact on the current quarter or the next quarter or whatever, while still maintaining that stability in the overall strategy.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you should say that. I was just talking to someone the other day and they said, you know, ambiguity is your friend, you know? Right. And I'm like, that's exactly right. We were talking about that ambiguity can be very scary, but ambiguity is also the open frontier to learn.
Yep.
Right. And in addition to that, if you are keeping watch, right, you know my phrase. I always say that marketing is not crockpot cooking, it's barbecue, right? So it's not fix and forget, it's watch the heat. I talk about that all the time. We laugh at that, but you got to watch the heat. You got to watch what's going on. You got to take care of it.
Yeah.
Can't walk away from that.
It's a hands-on endeavor, right?
What's that?
It's a hands-on endeavor.
You got it. And so confidence is an interesting thing. And I think that goes back to collaboration. There's confidence in collaboration. There's confidence in talking to your peer group, even outside the company, like what we're doing here. You can build confidence through the discussion or the good partnerships with partners like yourself. I'm thrilled about that because you bring a lot of information from your other clients, and you guys are watching the landscape as much as I can. But when we bring our eyeballs together, we see a lot more, right? Yeah. So confidence is critical, but I think that's important, but it can be built through confidence can be built through the data, but can also be built through collaboration.
Yeah. Awesome. Kim, this has been super cool as always. I'll be seeing you in Vegas in a few weeks, right? For a breakthrough.
That's right. Yep. See you there.
Awesome. I'll look forward to it.
All right. Take care.
See ya.